Damn everything but the circus. And here am I, patiently squeezing four-dimensional ideas into a two-dimensional stage, when all of me that's anyone or anything is in the top of a circus tent. Me. I didn't imagine you were leading a double life, and right under my nose, too. Him. The average painter, sculptor, poet, composer, playwright is a person who cannot leap through a hoop from the back of a galloping horse, make people laugh with a clown's mouth, orchestrate 20 lions. Me. Indeed. Him. But imagine a human being who balances 3 chairs, one on top of another, on a wire, 80 feet in air with no net underneath, and then climbs into the top chair, sits down, and begins to swing. Me shudders. I'm glad I never saw that. Makes me dizzy just to think of it. Him. I never saw that either. Me. Because nobody can do it. Him. Because I am that. But in another way, it's all I ever see. Me. What is? Him, pacing up and down. This. I feel only one thing. I have only one conviction. It sits on 3 chairs in heaven. Sometimes I look at it with terror. It is such a perfect acrobat. The 3 chairs are 3 facts. It will quickly kick them out from under itself and will stand on air. And in that moment, because everyone will be disappointed, everyone will applaud. Meanwhile, some thousands of miles over everyone's head, over 1 billion empty faces, it rocks carefully and smilingly on 3 things, on 3 facts. On I am an artist, I am a man, I am a failure. It rocks and it swings and it smiles, and it does not collapse, tumble, or die, because it pays no attention to anything except itself. I feel, I am aware, every minute, every instant, I watch this trick, I am this trick. I sway, selfish and smiling and careful, above all the people. And always I am repeating a simple and dark and little formula. Always myself mutters and remutters a trivial, colorless, microscopic idiom. I breathe and I swing and I whisper. An artist, a man, a failure must proceed. Me. This thing or person who is you, who does not pay any attention to anyone else, it will stand on air. Him, on air. Above the faces, live screams, suddenly, easily, alone. Me. How about the chairs? Him. The chairs will all fall by themselves down from the wire and be caught by anybody, by nobody, by somebody whom I don't see and who doesn't see me. perhaps by everybody. Me, maybe yourself, you away up ever so high, will hear me applaud. Him, looking straight at her, smiles seriously. I shall see your eyes. I shall hear your heart move. Me, because I shall not be disappointed like the others. Face, 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 hand, fin, claw, foot, hoof, Tovarich is to number of numberlessness, unsmiling, with dirt's dirt, dirty, dirtier with others' dirt, with dirt of themselves dirtiest, wait stand dirtily, never smile, shuffle budge, dirty, pause halt, smiling less. Some from nowhere, faces of nothing, others out of somewhere, something-shaped hands. These new ignorance, hugest feet and believing, those were friendless, stooping in their death skins, all numberlessly, each otherish, face, 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 all of whom which move do not move numberlessly toward the tomb, crypt, shrine, grave, the grave, toward the grave, all toward the grave of himself, of herself, all toward the grave of themselves, all toward the grave of self. Move with dirt's dirt, dirty, unmoving, move un, some from nowhere, moving, move, unmoving, each otherish. Face, our not there, face, face, our not her, face, 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 our not his, toward Vladimira, life, Ulyanov, our sweetness, Lenin, our hope, all hand, fin, claw, foot, hoof, Tovariches to number of numberlessness, unsmiling, all toward move, unmove, all toward our halt, pause, all toward all budge, shuffle, all toward stand, wait, isn't-ish. The dark human all warped, the toward, and face, 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 past Arabian nights and disappearing, numberlessness. Or may possibly there exist an invisible, a final face, move unmovingly, which after several forevers will arrive to hushed look upon its maker, Lenin. Pajalasta, voice belonging to Comrade K, said to a most tough cop, beside shuffle-budging end of beginninglessness, before the tomb of tombs, stand unstanding. Voice continues, I, American correspondent, the toughest cop spun upon all of and over smallest me, staring all one awful moment, salutes, and very gently shoves, let the skies snow dolphins, nothing shall confound us now, into smilelessly the entering beginning of endlessness, between these two exhausted its, a bearded and a merely unshaven, now who emotionlessly displace themselves. Obediently, and now we form a dumb me sandwich, and now which moves? Three comrades move. Comrade before me, comrade I, comrade behind me, on and move and on, and always behind comrade behind me, numberlessness. At either side of the portal, rigidity, armed soldier attentioning, stink, warm pores bowels, millionary of man the unanimal putrescence, floods up from dark, suffocatingly envelops three, now moving past that attentioning twain, each and whose eyelids move, unmove, other facing rigidities, comrades. As when a man inhabits for stars and moons freely himself, breathing always round air, living deeply the color of darkness, and utterly enjoying the sound of the great sun, tasting very slowly a proud silence of mountains, touched by touching what never to be comprehended miracles, conversing with trees fearlessly, and fire and rain and all creatures, and each strong, faithful thing, as when the man comes to a where tremulous with despair, and a when luminous with dissolution, into all fearfulness comes out of omnipotence, as when he enters a city, and solemnly his soul descends, every wish covers its beauty in tomorrow. So I descended, and so I disguised myself. So toward death's deification moving, I did not move. Bearded's cap slumps off. Mine, beardless's, now stone, polished now darkliness, left turning down, the old skull floating, the old ghost shuffling, just in front of me in stink and glimmer, and from whom Now forth creeps something timidly, a feeling tentacle cautiously, and which softly touch, trying fearfully how the polished, the slippery black, is it real? Amazedly, and withdraws, diminishes, wilting. Right turn. As we enter the place, I look up. Over all us, a polished slab, reflecting upside, move unmoving rads down. Now a pit. Here. Yes. Shh. Under a prism-shaped transparency, lying Tavarich to the waist, forcelessly shut right claw, left fin unshut limply, and a small, not intense head, and a face without wrinkles, and a reddish beard. One appearing quickly uniform shoves our singleness into twos, yanks bearded to the inside, pushes to the outside me, and as around thee the prism pit movingly, comrades thee move, within a neck-high wall, in a groove which surrounds the prism, stands at the prism's neuter pole a human being, alive, silent, with a real rifle. Comrades revolve, wheel we. Now I am somehow for a moment on the inside, alone. Growls another soldier, right turning us, who leave the place, whose walls irregularly are splotched with red frieze, leave the dumb, saccharine, poor bowel ripeness of stink. We climb, and climbing, we're out. Certainly, it was not made of flesh. And I have seen so many waxworks which were actual, some ludicrous, more horrible, most both. So many images whose very unaliveness could liberate is, invent being, or what equally disdains life and unlife. I have seen so many better gods or stranger, many mightier, deeper puppets, everywhere and elsewhere, and perhaps in America, and, for instance, in Coney Island. Death, masked as Santa Claus, strolling. Angry voices off stage. Death, I've got him now. Enter Santa Claus, masked as Death, running. Hello there, what's your hurry? Santa Claus, help, quick, for mercy's sake, they're after me. Death, after you? After me, yes, they're coming. Who's coming? Everybody. Why? It's the accident. Accident? To the miners in the mine. Miners? Wheel miners. Are you crazy? I don't know. Will you tell me something? Tell you what? Does a wheel mine exist, or doesn't it? A wheel mine? Yes. Don't be ridiculous. You mean it doesn't exist? Exist? Of course not. In other words, a wheel mine is non-existent, isn't it? Perfectly. Oh, then tell me, how can it maim? How can it mutilate? How can it turn mere people into monsters? Answer me, how? My friend, you've forgotten something, namely that people, like wheel mines, don't exist. Two negatives, you know, make an affirmative. Now, if I may be allowed to analyze, do you want to die? I die? Ha, 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 ha. How could death die? Death? Didn't you know? I'm going mad. You tell me. Whatever you are, death or the devil, tell me, how can I prove I'm not to blame for the damage caused by an accident which never happened to people who are non-existent? You can't. My God, but what am I going to do then? Do? Why, my dear fellow, it looks to me as if you'd have to prove you don't exist yourself. But that's absurd and tragic, yet a fact. So make it snappy, Mr. Santa Claus. Exit. From the opposite direction, enter mob, furious. A little girl follows. Voices. There he is! Grab him! Listen, Mr. Science! You're going to hang for this. Santa Claus. What do you mean? You know what we mean. Why, who do you think I am? Think? We don't think. We know. You're Science. Science? Science, the crook who sold us stock in a wheel mine. Science, the beast who buries men alive. Santa Claus. Stop. Ladies and gentlemen, this is all a mistake. I am not Science. Wheel mines don't exist. And as for burying people alive, that's nonsense. Voices. We say you're Science. Down with Science. Santa Claus. Wait. Ladies and gentlemen, if you all have been deceived by some impostor, so have I. If you all have been tricked and ruined, so have I. And so has every man and woman, I say. I say it and you feel it in your hearts. We are all of us no longer glad and whole. We have all of us sold our spirits into death. We are all of us the sick parts of a sick thing. We have all of us lost our living honesty. And so we are all of us not any more ourselves. Who can tell truth from falsehood any more? I say it and you feel it in your hearts. No man or woman on this big, small earth. How should our sages miss the mark of life and our most skillful players lose the game? Your hearts will tell you as my heart has told me, because all know. And no one understands. Oh, we are all so very full of knowing that we are empty of understanding. But by that emptiness, I swear to you, And if I lie, ladies and gentlemen, hang me a little higher than the sky. All men and every woman may be wrong, but nobody who lives can fool a child. Now I'll abide by the verdict of that little girl over there with the yellow hair and the blue eyes. I'll simply ask her who I am. And whoever she says I am, I am. Is that fair enough? Voices. Okay, sure, why not? Fine, a swell idea. The kid will tell him who he is, all right. Everybody knows. Santa Claus. Silence. To child. Don't be afraid. Who am I? Child. You are Santa Claus. Voices. Santa Claus? Ha, 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 ha. There ain't no Santa Claus. Santa Claus. Then, ladies and gentlemen, I don't exist. And since I don't exist, I am not guilty. And since I am not guilty, I am innocent. Goodbye. And next time, look before you leap. When serpents bargain for the right to squirm, and the sun strikes to gain a living wage, when thorns regard their roses with alarm, and rainbows are insured against old age, when every thrush may sing no new moon in, if all screech owls have not okayed his voice, and any wave signs on the dotted line, or else an ocean is compelled to close, when the oak begs permission of the birch to make an acorn, valleys accuse their mountains of having altitude, and March denounces April as a saboteur, then we'll believe in that incredible unanimal mankind, and not until. Dying is fine, but death? Oh, baby, I wouldn't like death if death were good. For when, instead of stopping to think, you begin to feel of it, dying's miraculous. Why? Because dying is perfectly natural, perfectly, putting it mildly, lively. But death is strictly scientific and artificial and evil and legal. We thank thee, God Almighty, for dying. Forgive us, O life, the sin of death. Why must itself up every of a park anus stick some, quote, statue, unquote, to prove that a hero equals any jerk who is afraid to dare to answer no? Quote, citizens, unquote, might otherwise forget To err is human, to forgive divine. That if the, quote, state, unquote, says, kill, killing is an act of Christian love. Nothing in 1944 A.D. can stand against the argument of military necessity. Generalissimo E. And Echo answers, there is no appeal from reason. Freud. You pays your money, and you doesn't take your choice. Ain't freedom grand? When God decided to invent everything, He took one breath bigger than a circus tent, and everything began. When man determined to destroy himself, he picked the was of shall, and finding only why, smashed it into because. Nothing false and possible is love, whose imagined, therefore limitless, loves to giving as to keepings give, as yes is to if, love is to yes. Must's a schoolroom in the month of May, life's the death board where all now turns when. Love's a universe beyond obey or command, reality or un. Proudly depths above, whys first because, faith's last doubt and humbly heights below, kneeling, we true lovers pray that us will ourselves continue to outgrow. All whose mosts, if you have known and I've, only we our least begin to guess. Hello is what a mirror says. It is a maid says, who? And hearing not a which, replies in haste, I must be you. No sunbeam ever lies. Bang is the meaning of a gun. It is a man means no. And seeing something yes will grin with pain, you so and so. True wars are never won. Who were so dark of heart they might not speak, a little innocence will make them sing. Teach them to see who could not learn to look. From the reality of all nothing will actually lift a luminous whole, turn sheer despairing to most perfect gay, nowhere to hear, never too beautiful. A little innocence creates a day, and something thought or done or wished without a little innocence, although it were as red as terror and as green as fate, greyly shall fail and dully disappear. But the proud power of himself, death, immense is not so as a little innocence. I say, no world can hold a "you shall see thee," not because and why, but who stood within his steam beginning and began to sing. All here is hands, machine no good. Too quick I know this suit. You pay a store too much, yes. What? Too much, oh much cheap. Me I work, I know. I say I have not any, never no vacation. Here is hands, is work, since I am born is good. But there, this cheap, this suit, too quick, no suit. There, everything, nothing. I say the world not fit you. He is not. I say the world, yes, any world, is much too not quite big enough to hold one tiny this with times more than most how immeasurable anguish pregnant, one fearless, one good, yes, completely kind, mind, heart, one true, one generous, child, man, God, one eager soul doll, one unsellable, not buyable, alive, one, I say, human being, one Goldberger. Life is more true than reason will deceive, more secret o'er than madness did reveal. Deeper is life than lose, higher than have, but beauty is more each than living's all. Multiplied with infinity sans if, the mightiest meditations of mankind cancelled are by one merely opening leaf, beyond whose nearness there is no beyond. Or does some littler bird than eyes can learn look up to silence and completely sing? Futures are obsolete, pasts are unborn. Here less than nothings, more than everything. Death, as men call him, ends what they call men. But beauty is more now than dying's when. What if a much of a which of a wind gives the truth to summer's lie, bloodies with dizzying leaves the sun, and yanks immortal stars awry? Blow king to beggar and queen to seem, blow friend to fiend, blow space to time. When skies are hanged and oceans drowned, the single secret will still be man. What if a keen of a lean wind flays screaming hills with sleet and snow, strangles valleys by ropes of thing, and stifles forests in white ago? Blow hope to terror, blow seeing to blind, blow pity to envy and soul to mind, whose hearts are mountains, roots are trees. It's they shall cry hello to the spring. What if a dawn of a doom of a dream bites this universe in two, peels forever out of his grave, and sprinkles nowhere with me and you? Blow soon to never and never to twice. Blow life to isn't, blow death to was. All nothings, only our hugest home. The most who die, the more we live. One's not half two. Its two are halves of one, which halves reintegrating shall occur no death and any quantity, but than all numerable mosts the actual more. Minds ignorant of stern, miraculous this every truth, beware of heartless them. Given the scalpel, they dissect a kiss, or sold the reason, they undream a dream. One is the song which fiends and angels sing, or murdering lies by mortals told make two. Let liars wilt, repaying life their loan. We, by a gift called dying born, must grow. Deep in dark least ourselves, remembering love only rides his year. All lose, whole find. Oh, by the by, has anybody seen little UI, who stood on a green hill and threw his wish at blue? With a swoop and a dart, out flew his wish. It dived like a fish, but it climbed like a dream, throbbing like a heart, singing like a flame. Blue took it my, far beyond far, and high beyond high, bluer took it your, but bluest took it our, away beyond where. What a wonderful thing is the end of a string, murmurs little UI as the hill becomes nil. And will somebody tell me why people let go? Hate blows a bubble of despair into hugeness, world system, universe, and bang. Fear buries a tomorrow under woe, and up comes yesterday most green and young. Pleasure and pain are merely surfaces, one itself showing, itself hiding one. Life's only and true value neither is. Love makes the little thickness of the coin. Comes here a man would have from Madame Death, neverless now and without winter, spring. She'll spin that spirit her own fingers with, and give him nothing if he should not sing. How much more than enough for both of us, darling. And if I sing, you are my voice. Yes is a pleasant country, if's wintry, my lovely. Let's open the year. Both is the very weather, not either, my treasure, when violets appear. Love is a deeper season than reason, my sweet one, and April's where we're. I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirits of trees and a blue true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. I who have died am alive again today, and this is the sun's birthday. This is the birthday of life and of love and wings and of the gay, great, happening, illimitably earth. How should tasting, touching, hearing, seeing, breathing any, lifted from the no of all nothing, human merely being, doubt unimaginable you? Now the ears of my ears awake, and now the eyes of my eyes are opened. Sweet spring is your time, is my time, is our time. For springtime is love time, and viva sweet love. All the merry little birds are flying in, the floating in, the very spirits singing in, are winging in the blossoming. Lovers go and lovers come, a-wandering, but any two are perfectly alone. There's nobody else alive. Such a sky and such a sun, I never knew, and neither did you. And everybody never breathed quite so many kinds of yes. Not a tree can count his leaves, each herself by opening, but shining who by thousands mean only one amazing thing. Secretly adoring, shyly, tiny winging, darting, floating, merry in the blossoming, always joyful selves are singing. Sweet spring, is your time, is my time, is our time, for springtime is love time, and viva sweet love. True lovers, in each happening of their hearts, live longer than all which and every who. Despite what fear denies, what hope asserts, what falsest both disprove by proving true. All doubts, all certainties, as villains strive and heroes, through the mere mind's poor pretend, grim comics of duration. Only love immortally occurs beyond the mind. Such a forever is love's any now, and her each here is such an everywhere. Even more true would truest lovers grow, if out of midnight dropped more suns than are. Yes, and if time should ask into his was, all shall, their eyes would never miss a yes. When faces called flowers float out of the ground, and breathing is wishing, and wishing is having, but keeping is downward and doubting and never. It's April, yes, April, my darling, it's spring. Yes, the pretty birds frolic as spry as can fly. Yes, the little fish gambol as glad as can be. Yes, the mountains are dancing together. When every leaf opens without any sound, and wishing is having, and having is giving, but keeping is doting, and nothing and nonsense. Alive, we're alive, dear. It's kiss me now, spring. Now the pretty birds hover, so she and so he. Now the little fish quiver, so you and so I. Now the mountains are dancing, the mountains. When more than was lost has been found, and having is giving, and giving is living, but keeping is darkness and winter and cringing. It's spring. All our night becomes day. Oh, it's spring. All the pretty birds dive to the heart of the sky. All the little fish climb through the mind of the sea. All the mountains are dancing, are dancing.